Hello, this is Gameli, RevitTunes.com. Now let's continue with the Revit MEP 2010. So now we are going to analyze heating and cooling loads. So first, let's review previous information, and it's just the settings in project information. So let's look for the tab Manage and Project Information, and we previously filled out this form, and right here we don't have a choice. Energy data, I'm gonna click. So we need to fill this. For some reason it's not filled out, but we're supposed to choose school university. So MP school or university. And now we have a zip code 03101, and the city is fine. And if for some reason you don't have the correct city, you click on these three dots and it gives you a whole list. And after you choose or you type the latitude and longitude, you have to choose the weather. You choose this, check mark this, use closest weather station, Manchester Airport. And we are just verifying everything was filled before. And now the service we are going to use is water loop heat pump. And building construction, you're supposed to fill on these three dots you hit, and you're supposed to fill everything: roof, exterior walls, and you should choose right here. So let's say everything is correct. Building classification, infiltration class, I use medium. Building infiltration class, that means if your building is a little bit loose, some air infiltration will be. Report type, I will use a standard level report type. And ground level 1. Bright phase, new construction, silver space tolerance 1 foot, and we leave this check export default values, and right here we select simple with shading surfaces. Now we just say OK, 2 times OK. Now we need to verify one more thing on the architect, right here on rooms, area and volume computation. We need to make sure it's using areas and volumes, and up to wall finish I use, unless you have a specific situation where you are requested to center or core layer. Wall finish is good at this point, and don't worry about the area scheme right now. We are not working on that. That's the architectural part. So we are just checking all the parameters we need to check before we do the calculation, the energy calculation for the heating and cooling loads. Now let's say each space, remember the green color are spaces and the darker green are zones. I'm going to highlight one zone and I'm going to turn it temporarily off, and let's see if I could hide category. Let's see. I don't want to see zones right now, only spaces. This green color are spaces. So remember, each space, if I select it, and first of all you're going to flag the name library 2019. Second, if you hit on properties, it should bring these properties belonging to this particular space. Each space has its own properties, and at this moment we focus on this. We make sure it's occupable. In this case, it's an occupable space. If it's a plenum, it has to say plenum. Because it's not a plenum, it has to be checked here. Now I have to place back because when I switch here, it says it creates this change to make it unconditioned space, but obviously I have to put it back. So it's conditioned space. So it's heated and cooled, this space. It could be only heated, could be cooled, or both. Now each space has a type. You could leave it by building, but it's more precise if you go by type, space type. So in this case, it was a library. So they have, let's see, audio visual. Let's see, library right here. So it's gonna change these values, and by the construction type we leave it by building. That means wherever I chose at the beginning for the building construction, we use that. But if we want to do the materials for each room, we could change right here. It will change this part. If I make changes, it will make changes only to this room. So I have to create this one, put it a name. I would say, oh, I'm gonna cancel because I deleted. But if I wanna create like my library materials, I should add here. This is duplicate. This is new. So I could create one, and it will be library. And I could specify the materials of this library. But if you don't specify, you could use by building. And I'm gonna cancel because I deleted something. So by canceling is gonna put it back the way it was, I hope. And so again, it should be fine because I canceled the changes I did. Now the space, I need to put it back. Library. Now if I put tags to this space, it will say calculated heated and load not computed, and not computed calculated cooling load. After we run this calculation, it will be filling this. So pay attention on this. Alright, so on people, we could use the default, which is using 26 people right here, and 43 square foot per person. And the default is sensitive, it gave 250 and latent 200, that's the default. Now the tutorial says to specify and by area, and it suggests 50, so I'm gonna change 50. Oh, I hit enter, but I wasn't ready. So 50 specified, right here specified, and right here it says 200 by 150. And I'm not a mechanical engineer, so I do just what the tutorial do. My degree is in architecture, so since you might be a mechanical engineer, you could have table where you choose this, or maybe by code, and depending on what kind of space is. Okay, so people is done, and let's fill the electrical values. So right here we will use actual, and we will use actual for power and lighting, and say okay. Okay, so we say okay, so each space will be filled out like that. In this case I just fill out one, but here is more computer lab, everything. Go to properties and fill out this occupiable space, conditioned, heated and cooled, and we need to select this, the type of space type. And if you don't choose the default, I prefer to use the default because I don't know much about this, but if you have a reason to change it, you could change it. Now every space is like that. Now remember first two things on manage